and she was very upset and crying, and she said, something bad has happened to Kaylee. And I said, well, what do you mean? And she said, I have a friend down there, and they called me and told me that Kaylee Gonzalez had been killed. And I immediately started trying to call Kaylee, and her phone was going straight to voicemail. So then I started calling Maddie. Her phone would ring and ring and ring and ring and ring. And then I said, okay, everybody needs to relax, because if something happened to Kaylee last night, Maddie would have called me.
Kaylee had recently moved out of the house at 1122 King Road, but had returned to spend the night with Maddie.
And we called Maddie's mom, and Maddie's mom said, yes, I got a call from the police department, and they told me I needed to get down there. And we're like, why haven't we got a call? And my son said, the sheriff's here. And I actually took off to my bedroom, and the rest of the family answered the door. My knees were shaking. My whole body was shaking. My knees were shaking. My whole body was shaking.
That's when you lose all hope.
Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. This is for educational purpose only. This is the case of the Idaho quadruples. May the 4 victims rest in peace. Condolence to their families, and may the correct justice be served. My question still remains, did Kaylee have a stalker? Did the police do a proper investigation? For me, it makes more sense that Kaylee had a stalker, because the manager from the vape shop, who knew Kaylee and Maddie and the girls, they used to come down to the vape shop. Maddie told him that they were all looking after Kaylee and walking home with her. They were with her all the time because Kaylee had a stalker. Kaylee saw the stalker, allegedly, according to Maddie. She told the manager of the vape shop that Kaylee even saw the stalker basically walking behind her and stalking her. That was at daytime near the corner club. Why would Maddie lie about Kaylee having a stalker when they all were looking out for Kaylee? Kaylee was there. She would have disagreed and said, stop it, Maddie, I don't have a stalker. But Kaylee did have a stalker, for Maddie to have said that. And I wonder, could the stalker have been Jack Showalter? With all his record of harassment, allegedly being thrown out of the frat, harassing girls at his work in Boise. The list goes on and on. We saw clearly at the Grub truck that Kaylee and Maddie were not so comfortable around Jack Showalter. In fact, they were ignoring him. They even ditched him at the Grub truck. He was the only suspect, I believe, who left out of town. Hoodie guy did not buy any food at the Grub truck, and he passed a threat. Clearly, he said, they're going to get you, Maddie. You know they're going to get you, Maddie. And 2 hours later, the 4 victims were allegedly deceased. That can't just be a coincidence. Kaylee's mother, Christy, said she kept on calling Maddie, and it was ringing, ringing, ringing. That means Maddie's phone was left at the crime scene, and the person who unalived them did not take the phone with them. Unless Maddie's phone was taken and somebody just let it ring, which I doubt. If somebody took the phone, they would have switched it off so that nobody could call. What got these 4 beautiful young victims unalived in such a brutal manner? Was the house the target, the location? Why was Kaylee studying at home for a month? She just came that night to show off her vehicle, her new Jeep, Land Rover. What was actually going on in 1122 Kings Road? I really believe Kaylee had a stalker.
Kaylee had recently moved out of the house at 1122 King Road, but had returned to spend the night with Maddie.
I've spoken about this picture plenty of times, but just pay attention. Maddie and the young woman with her are both standing in front of DM, Dylan Motors in his room. If Brian Christopher Koberger allegedly committed these crimes and he left from Xana's room and he's walking to the sliding door, he would have sensed and seen DM his room open. Whether it was open a tiny bit. This was an old creaky house. Where Maddie is standing is exactly where DM, his door is. So for DM to say that she opened the door 3 times and nothing happened, and she saw a man with the bushy eyebrows and he passed her by without unaliving her, Bethany Funk, and Murphy the dog, doesn't make sense to me. Look at how close DM's room is to where the person would have passed her. This is one video that I can't get over. This was the next day, the 13th of November. The police came down to Taylor Avenue. They were checking the black long coat that I believe Maddie was wearing that night. They checked the pockets, they checked the coat around, and they threw it back in the bushes. Aren't they supposed to keep it for evidence, DNA, to check even if it was thrown, if somebody pulled Maddie, allegedly? Nothing was checked. Did the police do a good job and the forensic team with collecting evidence in the beginning? I don't blame them. To start with, the surviving roommates took 8 hours. They were busy texting each other, according to what leaked out to the grand jury. So if they were texting each other, calling Xana's sister, Jasmine, and calling his triplets, Hunter and Maisie, they called Hunter Johnson, who called 911. I'm sure his girlfriend Emily came with him, and many other people were inside the house and outside the house before 911 came. So what evidence was collected? The fact that they say that the knife sheet was found near Maddie, the knife sheet could belong to anyone, but the DNA on the button snap of the knife sheet, that DNA could have come from anywhere. Somebody could have actually, maybe the victims could have borrowed BK's K-bar knife because Kaylee had a stalker allegedly. That DNA could have come out from anywhere because the crime scene was tampered with. Not only tampered with, it was a disaster, with so many people coming into the crime scene before the police even got there. You can't be in shock in 8 hours, and even if you were in shock, you would have got up, and when you get out of the shock, you would know that this is serious. This is serious business. There are 4 people unalived. It was a bloody crime scene according to the police and the mainstream news media. So why didn't they call the police before calling Hunter? What could Hunter do that the police couldn't do? This doesn't make sense. The surviving roommates should have been properly and thoroughly investigated. I'm waiting for Ann Taylor to bring them to the witness stand and do a proper integration and find out why it took them 8 hours. Why did they have so many people surrounding? Let's not forget 3 unidentified male DNAs was found inside and outside the house. A glove, fingerprints on the wall, the van shoes, or even a cigarette stump. People were just waltzing in and outside this crime scene. And if the crime scene wasn't under proper investigation and it was tampered with, then it's going to be very difficult to prove that BK did it or did not do it, or who did it. It may end up as a mistrial, allegedly, in my opinion, because the evidence was tampered with. By the police throwing this jacket back in the bushes this could be a Brady Giglo or Giglo order, because the evidence are being tampered with. They're supposed to have bagged this jacket and found out how the jacket landed there. I remember Olivia, Kaylee's sister, saying that when they came home, they let their dog out to potty. Did someone, trigger warning, drag Maddie and rip the coat out of her? Because how did this black coat land there unless it's somebody else's coat, which is possible. But it looked like these 2 policemen or so-called policemen knew exactly what they were aiming for and where they were going. Pay attention to this. First he takes out his gloves, he wears it, and the other one is watching. They go into the bushes, take out the jacket, check the pockets, check around the jacket, and throw it back in the bushes. They're checking the jacket.